Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2026. Today, I'm going to show you how to take an Accuquilt embroidery design that's free from their website and turn it into a Pro Stitcher pattern. Now, with the embroidery design, it comes in with stitches already. So we have to do a little bit of um, work to it to get it into the format that our Pro Stitcher can read. What we're going to do with this is we're going to create a line, a placement line that tells us where to lay our fabric. We're going to lay our fabric on that placement line, and we're going to trim around it after we stitch again, and then we're going to put a final blanket stitch on it. Now, I wouldn't do this on a real quilt, but I might make a pillow out of it or a small wall hanging. You will see the stitches on the back of your quilt because we are stitching through all three layers. So let me show you where I got the pattern off the Accuquilt site, and then we'll go into ProStitcher Designer and ultimately into ProStitcher. It's Accuquilt.com, and in the search bar over here, I'm just going to type free embroidery and search. And here are the search results. There's a couple cute patterns on here. You can see there's $0. So there are a couple that are free, and then there are the rest that you would need to pay for. Whoops, let's get rid of that. Okay, so today I downloaded the alphabet. Now, the nice thing about working with the designs from the Accuquilt site is when you have an Accuquilt cutter and you buy a die, you only get one size. You can't resize it. But bringing this into ProStitcher Designer and ProStitcher, I can make it any size I want. So I'm not limited to just what my die would be. I can change the size and really have a good variety. So Accuquilt.com, free embroidery, download the designs. You will have to create an account so they have your email where to send your designs. Okay, now let's go into ProStitcher Designer. So ProStitcher Designer. All right, now I am on the home page here. You have, just like ProStitcher Premium and ProStitcher Lite, you have your file folders, you have your ribbon bar, you have your quick access, right? And then you have your workspace. So I am on the home page where I'm going to get a new page, so it's active. And then I'm going to open my file folder so I can get out my design. I can also go here, File, Open, either way, and it will bring up my menu of designs. So I'm going to go to the Accuquilt folder that I created, and I'm going to go to the alphabet folder. I put all my, after I downloaded and zipped, I put them in a folder called alphabet. So let's open that. And my embroidery machine reads PES files, just like your ProStitcher reads HQV, HQF, or QLI. So when you download this pattern, you're going to get every machine company out there. You're going to get Janome that reads JEF. You're going to get Brother that reads PES. Choose one. If you don't have an embroidery machine, and no big deal. Just choose one of the files. It'll work because we're going to change it to what the ProStitcher can read. So I'm going to open up my PES files, and I'm going to go to the letter H. And under the H, under every letter, you have a blanket stitch, you have a motif, and you have a satin stitch. So I'm going to choose the blanket stitch, and I'm going to say open. So there is my letter H with the blanket stitch. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my workspace. We call it a sequence view in Designer. And you see these little plus marks on the side here. This is the placement line for the letter. So you start with a blank canvas on your ProStitcher. You have your backing and your batting and your backing and your batting loaded. Then you're going to stitch this placement line, which is just a running stitch. And that's going to tell you, hey, lay your fabric on top of what I just stitched. And then we're going to copy that and we're going to stitch it again after you put your fabric down so you have a line to cut around. So let's go ahead and open this placement stitch. I'm going to hit the plus arrow and you can see that it says manual. Those are some stitches that we don't want. So I'm going to get rid of the manual stitches. So now all I have is the H, just the run stitch for the H. While I'm here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to select it, do a right click and copy, and do a right click and paste. So now I have two H's. So one will be the placement, put my fabric down on top of that. The next one will stitch the fabric down so I can trim it. Now I'm going to look at my stitches here and I'm going to expand this with the plus sign. And I'm going to get rid of the underlaying stitches, which is this manual. I'm going to delete. And there's another one here I'm going to delete. Okay, so these are, if you look at this, this is just, you can see the run stitch, and here you can see the blanket stitch. Now I have two run stitches on here. If you look at my screen here, you'll see that half of this is selected, and then it's all selected, but it's only going to stitch in half. This side is black, this side is green, this side is black, this side is green. So I'm going to select this and I want to combine them together. I want to connect them so they stitch it as one and not two separate patterns. So I selected it, I right click, I'm going to go to Utility and Connect. And now you see when I go to my plus sign, I only have one run stitch. So it'll stitch out all in one. Now I'm going to select everything. And I'm going to come over to my preview tab and I'm going to watch the stitch out on this. So here we have in the pink is our, let's see if we can change this. Let's change it by making everything all black. So down here is my color palette. And over here I have a plus sign. And I think black is number 20. So I'm going to click on the black and it should have made everything black for me. Okay, now I'm going to go back to stitch out and here we go. There's the tack, there's the placement, then the tack down. And now my blanket all is one. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File and Save As because I don't want to overwrite the original pattern. I want to create a new pattern with the changes that I made. I'm going to say Save As. And I want to put this on my USB. So I'm going to select my USB that's in my machine. And I'm going to rename this H Final because I know that's the final design that I have. And it says save as type C2S. That is the ProStitcher Designer default with it just saves it as like artwork or whatever. So I don't want that. I want to save it as an HQV, which is the designer default for ProStitcher HQV. You also have HQF. You have QLI down here. And if you have a cutting machine, you can cut these out by saving this as an SVG. Save that placement line as an SVG. But I want this to be an HQF, so I'm going to say save. Okay, now I am going to go to my ProStitcher. So I'm going to share my ProStitcher screen. And I'm going to go File, Design, Open. And there is my H Final. And I'm going to open that. And now we are going to stitch this out with our simulator, ProStitcher, run. And the first thing I want to do first, though, is I want to come into my settings and I want to change I got to get this out of the way. I want to change my auto jump to, hold on here, I got to get a screen out of the way. I want to make sure that my auto jump is on 0 because I want it to be able to stop after my placement stitch. I want it to do the placement stitch, do the locking stitches and stop. Then I want to be able to put my fabric down, do the tack down stitch and stop. And then I want it to do the blanket stitch. So if I have this number higher than 0, since the start point's in the same place for all 3 stitches, it's just going to keep going and going without stopping. So make sure that you have your jump stitch set at 0. Okay, now what happened here? Oh, we're not selected. Select my design and say run and proceed. Okay, so pull up and here's my tack down stitches. This is my placement line, not the tack down. This is my placement line. And it stops. It does my locking stitches. There's my jump pause, so I can cut my thread, move my machine out of the way, put my fabric down. If I used my cutting machine, I would have a substrate on the back like Wonder Under or Heat and Bond, and I could just lightly press it while it's on the frame. And then I can say resume. And I'm just going to grab my scissors. Okay, so there is the placement, the tack down stitch, so I can trim around that. It does my locking stitches. And now I can cut that, and I like to use a good pair of embroidery scissors. Whoops, let's this way. So put something in front of that. These are a curved tip embroidery scissor. And I like to use that to trim around the tack down line. So whether you cut it out with a cutter or trim it on your frame, it's a little bit tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. It's okay. The stitches, it's raw edge applique. So now that we trimmed our fabric, we're ready for the blanket stitch. And the machine will do a beautiful job with the blanket stitch. So I encourage you to try this and download some of the other patterns. I'm going to play with Sunbonnet Sue next, and I'll come back and show you some of these stitched out on the machine. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we are, to wrap up, we're taking an embroidery design that's meant for an embroidery machine that reads a file that ProStitcher does not read. We're bringing it into ProStitcher Designer. We're taking out some of the stitches, the underlaying stitches, and we're doing a copy and paste for our placement line. So we create a tack down line. 2 years ago, this made no sense to me, but I bought an embroidery machine, and let me tell you, that's my passion right now too. So it's fun to be able to do this with the long arm. Um, your long arm is just not for edge to edge quilting or block to block quilting. You can make scarves, you can do chenille it, you can do applique. There's so much that the long arm can do. We can make bags, we can. Oh my gosh, it's the possibilities are endless, and I hope to be bringing you some more projects. But for now, this is pretty cool, actually. I like this. So, like I said, go and download some of the patterns and play around. This is on my simulator. This is on my laptop, so I can take it to the TV tonight and I can play around with it while I'm sitting and keeping my husband company and watching TV. So it's a fun New Year's project, just learning something new the very first day of the new year. And I encourage you to go quilt something. So Happy New Year, everybody, and we will see you soon. Bye.